Hi guys, this is Max from Hi on Android.com, where we get on Android every day. Anyway, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at the camera performance between the Pixel 2 XL and the Galaxy S9 Plus. Let's go do this, baby. Alright guys, before I begin, I took all the shots in here with the f1.5 on the S8 in Pro mode. Because in auto mode, the S9 likes to go to f2.4 a lot, and especially in low light, I don't want to use f2.4, so I can get the best photos in low light. As far as a Pixel 2 XL, I've used the HDR Plus mode on all the shots. And for those of you who don't know, the Google HDR isn't really just for HDR, it's just for general photos, how they process the photo. So for those of you who know what Pixel camera is like, you know that you get better photos with HDR Plus on every single time instead of using the auto. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the results. Okay, let's go ahead and start with this photo here. This is an indoor photo, a bunch of candy at my local golf driving range. And you can see the Pixel 2 XL does a lot better, especially with the highlights, the reflection. Look at this crispy treats. And for those of you who don't know, Pixel 2 XL's Google HDR camera does a terrific job at controlling the highlights. They call it the HDR, but it's not really HDR, it's the way they process it. And even with a simple photo like this, you see Google HDR doing really well. I really wanted to test out how much bokeh you would get from f1.5 on this S9 on the right versus the Pixel 2 XL on the left, and zooming in a little bit. Yeah, I guess you get a tiny bit more bokeh, but I expected actually a lot more bokeh. I guess not a huge difference. In terms of this photo, both look actually pretty good. Slightly a little bit more washed out with the S9 Plus. Here's another example of bokeh you can see. And in terms of color, I found that the S9 a lot more realistic color. But that's not a huge difference, I would say. You can easily edit the colors. Again, amount of bokeh, I expected a lot more, maybe slightly more here. Also in this next one here, you can see the Pixel 2 XL processing the clouds a lot better. You see more details there. Alright, here's another photo. You can see again the clouds, a lot more details there. In terms of the flowers, again, Google's HDR camera really does a great job at removing the highlights, whereas the S9 Plus is slightly blown out. Alright, here's another good test of how much bokeh you can expect. f1.5 versus f1.8 on the left. And you can see the S9 Plus is not as sharp as the Pixel 2 XL. Look at the Pixel 2 XL just killing it here. And in terms of bokeh, I would actually say the Pixel 2 XL has slightly more bokeh, or about the same. I find that in general, in bright light, the Note 8 sort of blows out things a little bit. See how the brights are very bright, and you get less details in the sky, whereas Pixel 2 XL, kicking ass. More details, alright? Not as bright, but you know, you get more details. It doesn't get washed out. Take a look at this edge here. It gets more washed out with the S9 Plus. Alright, here's a photo of my daughter taking a golf lesson. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. Alright, in this example though, you could see a little bit more details of the shadows back there. Alright, whereas the Pixel 2 XL sort of loses details. Now here's where software cannot beat hardware. So basically, the S9 Plus has better lens, better hardware, but Pixel 2 XL does not have that good hardware, and even with software they can't make this, they can't fix it. So in situations where there's a lot of artifacts, a lot of you know, a lot of like little things, patterns behind it, I think in those situations the S9 Plus will do better. Alright, here's another shot. Let's go ahead and zoom in, and you can clearly see here where the software processing of Google HDR, you guys can sort of see it's sort of almost blurred out during this line, whereas the S9 Plus does a beautiful job of bringing all the grass correctly. So in situations like this, I would have to give the win to the S9 Plus. Good hardware versus software processing. Alright, I just wanted to do another bokeh test here, but let's go ahead and zoom in on this thing here, see if we can read it with both. Both did pretty well. Right? I wouldn't say one's better. But go ahead and zoom in on this guy and we could see how much bokeh each of them have. Slightly more bokeh, so f1.5 versus f1.8. All right, but not a huge difference. Zoomed out, you're not gonna know the difference. All right, here's a shot of my driver fluffy cover. Garfield, I love Garfield, by the way. And here again, if you zoom in the white details here, this is where the Pixel 2 XL shines, because it brings the level of highlights down using its algorithm, while it's slightly blown out with the S9 Plus and losing some details. Alright, so it really depends on the situation, but I find that, you know, the f1.5 is really a marketing gimmick. I think it wasn't as good as I expected. Here's an apple juice that I bought that day. And here's a good example. I would have to give slight wind to the S9 Plus. You can see a lot more clear. All right, so there are situations where f1.5 does outshine, but not by much. In this photo, I do like the bokeh of the background here. Here's a shot of my daughter. Both are using HDR mode, I think. And you can see a lot of the face versus the Pixel 2 XL. As far as details in the skies, you get more with the Pixel 2 XL. I don't really like either of these photos, so let's go on to the next one. Alright, so I did a bunch of low light shots, thanks to Vin here at this bar I go to. You can see the highlights, especially in low light. Pixel 2 is just a killer, or Pixel 2 XL. Look at how well it processes these highlights up here and up here. And in terms of just not processing, slightly cleaner with the S9 Plus, maybe slightly less noise, but definitely I would have to give the win to the Pixel 2 XL. All right, here's a neon test I do, and I always do this because this is a great test of how the phone's camera processes highlights. And you can clearly see much better photo with the Pixel 2 XL. All right, look at this. Just S9 Plus having trouble. All right, here's another photo. You can see blown out lights with the S9 Plus. Very nice control by Pixel 2 XL algorithm. Slightly more clear with the Pixel 2 XL versus the S9 Plus. When it involves a lot of background lights, especially city lights, you're obviously going to get much better photos with Pixel 2 XL in general, I think. Also, again, here you can see a lot of details over on this side, blown out, lost details with the S9 Plus. Now, again, this is all due to Google's better camera processing, post-processing. On a side note, you can always take it in RAW and do your own edits. Now, we're just testing auto capabilities of these two phones, okay? Again, here, more details in the skies. You know, correcting these highlights a lot better. One thing to note, there is a lot more noise with the Pixel 2 XL. You can clearly see here where the f1.5 does a slight better job. All right, let's do a close up here. And in this photo, not too terribly different. I couldn't say which one's better in this photo. Obviously, exposure is a lot lower here versus slightly higher. So that's just camera processing, I think. But yeah, they look about the same if you think about that. Here is a sign of the street. I included the light on purpose, and I think the Pixel 2 XL does a whole lot better job. Right, a lot more details. Who put the shoe up there? All right, here's another example where the highlights are controlled a lot better with the Pixel 2 XL, especially the reflection on the street. All right, I mean, this has been the case for the last few years, and Samsung simply can't catch up yet. All right, just another shot of the street. Look at the highlights on the left. Highlight control is so much better with the Pixel 2 XL. And a lot of times I actually had better focusing, especially at night. I found that focusing was a lot better, even though I took both of these photos in the same exact method. And you can see also Pixel 2 XL accelerates in stabilizing the photos better. Here's a photo of a pay meter Feed me coins. Do you take bitcoins? Do you take bitcoins? In this example, I would have to give the win. Again, you could see, look at buy parking cards, a lot more clear. S9 Plus. A little bit less noise, right? In terms of bokeh, a little bit more bokeh with the S9 Plus. Check out the car behind, you can see a little bit more bokeh. Here's another photo of my buddy Vin. Thanks for volunteering to be in my video. You see the highlights here being controlled a lot better versus highlights just being blown out. In terms of the actual person being taken, yeah, I mean Pixel 2 XL is still kicking ass. More details, yeah, interesting. Okay, I did a front camera test also. Even with the front camera, you can see Google processing it a lot better. Now, with the front camera, most Samsung devices, they like to overdo with the beauty mode, you know, get rid of wrinkles. I guess that is good, but at the same time, you lose clarity. I think I had left it on default mode. You can see just in general, Pixel 2 XL does a lot better in low light when it involves a lot of light. All right, here's a photo I took inside the bar, and wow, look at this. You can actually see a lot of more details here and the bottles behind it. Versus the S9 Plus, the Stella sign is actually blown out, yet you can't see as much of the background. So this is where the Google algorithm really wins out. All right, here's another photo of the bar. In this example, I would say a lot sharper with the Pixel 2 XL, but obviously less noise with the S9 Plus. There's a lot going on in this photo, but in this example, the S9 Plus keeps up with the Pixel 2 XL. All right, here's the drink I was drinking, and let's go ahead and zoom in on the sign. So in certain situations like this, well, slightly different angle. Kind of hard to tell which one is better here. I do like the S9 Plus in this example. A little bit more clear. All right, here's a photo of a photo, and you can see here where Pixel 2 XL really shines. All right, kills the highlights, get more details. Okay, here's another example. I took a quick shot. Pixel 2 XL does a terrific job of focusing on this beer tap, while the S9 Plus has trouble. So in terms of focusing in low light, in general, I got better photos, more focus with the Pixel 2 XL. All right, here's a good test of highlights again. I know I took a lot of them, but look at so much more details with the Pixel 2 XL of that wall versus the S9 Plus. All right, in terms of color, I would have to actually give it to the S9 Plus, but here's just some random shot in very dark, low environment, and you can see a lot better results with the Pixel 2 XL. Here's a photo of the bathroom. Yeah, I kept taking a lot of photos. Police crackdown on prostitutes. Whoa. All right. Again here, pretty good lighting inside the bathroom. You can actually see the letters a lot better, clearer with the Pixel 2 XL. All right, this photo, since the light was very bright for both of them, I turned the exposure down as much as possible after focusing on the light. And look at how much better the Pixel 2 XL is. Wow. Night and day. And this one we did last time too. Rest in peace, Bubbles. Rest in power, Bubbles. Yeah, there's a lot of weird graffiti out here. And you can see again here, the Pixel 2 XL does an excellent job of bringing the highlights down, where it's sort of slightly blown out. Okay, just shot of the street. I don't know why I even took this. But wow, look at the difference. A lot more sharper. A lot more details with the Pixel 2 XL. Alright, that's pretty much it, folks. You can download these original photos. I'll have the link in the description, and you guys can compare it yourself. But, you know, apart from taking those photos and comparing them, just in general, my experience was that Pixel 2 XL is still the king of smartphone photography. And as far as videos, I'll make another video because otherwise this video will get too long. Honestly, I'm very, very disappointed at the new f1.5. It wasn't as I imagined to be. It's not that much better, especially compared to the Pixel 2 XL. Of course, you can always install Google HDR camera on the S9 and S9 Plus, and you should be able to get, better photos possibly than the Pixel 2 XL, or just as good. Now, one thing I'm wondering now is how good is the S9 Plus camera, S9 camera versus last year's S8? I'll do another test, but just off top of my head, I don't think a huge difference. Unfortunately, that was one of the major reasons to get the S9 or S9 Plus this year, but yeah, I am very disappointed. Unfortunately, it's a lot of it is marketing. There's 960 frames per second slow motion this year. That is very gimmicky. Also, I mean, I've had that on my Sony XZ Premium for a whole year now, and I think it's actually works better on my Sony. I'm gonna do another test on that too. So don't believe all the hype that's being thrown out there. You really want to just sort of look at it from the outside the box. I think there's too much hype around the S9, S9 Plus. That's another reason why I didn't go to the event. And sort of you get it in the moment and you're so excited about the phone. You're not able to judge the phone from outside the box. Alright, so that's another reason I didn't go this year to MWC. But as you can see, Pixel 2 XL kicks ass in most of these situations. f1.5 does help, but it's nowhere near I expect it to be. But if you're upgrading from a very old Galaxy phone, I mean, it's still going to be a very good upgrade. I still do recommend it if that's the case. I'm just saying, from S8 to S9, come on, Samsung. What are you doing? I just really don't think camera has actually improved a lot from last year. Unfortunately, that's the truth. Alright, decide for yourself. But yeah, if you get nitty gritty, and I'm a camera guy, I own like 5 or 10 different cameras with a ton of different lenses. And especially when I take photos, this is f2.8. If I'm going from f1.8 to f1.4, I mean, I can see a clear difference, a clear improvement. With smartphones, it could be that the lenses are too small, and just because the hardware limits the space requirements of this tiny space, maybe aperture difference has to be a lot bigger to make a difference in actual photos. But the most disappointing part was where I didn't get that more bokeh, because I'm all about bokeh. I love my this is my favorite 24mm f1.4. The reason I carry this over 1.8 is because that extra bokeh, and maybe almost like 20% improvement in low light. In comparison to mirrorless cameras and DSLR cameras and lenses, I just think this was a total gimmick by Samsung. And in terms of hardware, it's great still, but Google has done such a terrific job with their Google HDR camera. So I'll do another video once Google HDR camera is available for the S9, S9 Plus. And plus, Google is actually open sourcing all of that, so by next year, we should have a lot of Google's HDR technology in all of the Android phones. That's going to be exciting. Don't give up yet, S9, S9 Plus user. It doesn't mean your phone sucks. It just means it's not the king of smartphone photography yet. But yeah, coupled with Google HDR, since it does have a better hardware, it could turn out better. So I'll have updates on that. But sorry, got kind of long, but I just wanted to point out everything. Have a great day, and as always, stay on Android.
Click here to subscribe.